What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We have got a lot of stuff to talk about today. This is the special Envoy video for the month. First video that I'm doing in the Envoy program. A little excited, so apologies for that. But today we're going to be talking about Emma Frost, going over her kit, some changes to Marauders, talking about how this is going to change them, especially for war defense. We've got some sneak peeks of footage for her, and then we can also talk about Beast and the buffs coming with X-Men. There's a couple of other buffs coming to mutant villains, some characters in the Brotherhood, and then we've also got a sneak peek of Young Avengers in action. There's a lot to break down today, so let's start with the star, Emma Frost. She is coming soon, and you will note that she does not have the Marauders tag. She does not have Marauders, but she fits right in with them. She's going to be perfect in that 5th spot, but there's also going to be changes to the Marauders to help synergize with Emma Frost, and it's great. But yeah, let's start with this. And also, I gotta note, she's got like this fantastic resting you know what face. But yeah, let's go in with her kit here. You can get a little bit of a glimpse of her stats here. You know, nothing too crazy. You know, decent health, armor. Focus seems a little high versus resistance, 111 speed. But let's take a look at her kit. And her basic attack is up first. Fashionable strike. Attack the primary target for 290% damage and flip 2 positive effects to negative effects. If she is charged, however, damage is 340% and it clears those 2 positive effects instead. So we already know that she's going to have some kind of charge synergy. So there will be something with charge here you guys will see in a little bit, and it's going to be beautiful. The T4 on this is just to give you some bonus damage. Doesn't really look like it's going to be worthwhile. It's just adding 60% bonus damage onto her attack. Probably not a worthwhile T4 for her unless you really want to invest T4s into her and the Marauders. Let's go with her special here called Diamond Form. It's a 3/3 ability. If charged, clear charged. Barriers herself for 20% of this character's max health. Clear all negative effects from self and all allies. That's all allies, not just mutant villain allies or Brotherhood or Marauders. All allies. So you get a team-wide cleanse here. Big deal. Applies immunity to self and all mutant villain allies. Applies slow to all enemies. And then she gains charged afterwards. This T4 is the clearing all negative effects from self and all allies. Big deal here. This is very much a worthwhile T4. Another team-wide cleanse that does not rely on certain factions. You can never get enough of those. Those are in huge demand. So this definitely looks like a worthwhile T4 to get. And that T4 also allows her to apply immunity to herself and all mutant villain allies. Looks like a great ability. And when we look at some of the footage, you'll actually see when she does this, when she gains charge, she goes into diamond form. It looks pretty cool. I love the animations. Fantastic. But then let's move on to her ultimate, and boy, is her ultimate a doozy. Turn the tables. If charged, clear charged, and then clear all positive effects from all enemies. Apply blind to the primary target, and then mind control the 2 enemy or ally characters with the most damage to attack the primary target, and those mind control targets gain 40% bonus damage. And if the primary target is killed, apply blind to the non-summoned enemy with the most speed bar, and then this attack is unavoidable. Big ultimate for this here. The bonus damage, the mind control, applying blind, all big stuff. But the T4 on this definitely looks worthwhile, for it clears all positive effects on enemies. That's big, and then guarantees 2 enemies or ally characters will attack that mind control target, and it also gives 15% bonus damage on this. Overall, very much a worthwhile T4 in my opinion. So this ultimate looks great. That mind control, the clearing of all positive effects from the enemies, and that's a big deal. And then you have her passive ability, the White Queen. On turn, heals herself for 15% of her max health, applies minus 10% speed to all enemies, and while charged, and this is not a joke, while charged, gain 400% bonus armor and 500% bonus resistance. And then on more defense, on spawn, apply defense up for 2 turns to all mutant villain allies. That bonus while charged is nuts. She's very tanky at this point, not taking a lot of damage. If there was a way you could force a taunt onto her while she was charged, that would be fantastic, because she's just not going to take damage. She's just going to sit there and just shrug everything off. That's great. I love looking at that. So it looks like while she's charged, the only way you can really do damage to her is if you have piercing attacks on her, or you have attacks that have bonus focus attached on with them. I mean, that's the only way to really get through her while she has charged up. But yeah, I mean, that bonus while charged is big. and that defense up for 2 turns on spawn is big for your Marauders overall. And speaking of your Marauders, let's take a look at what we're going to get with the other Marauder characters here. So we're taking a look at this, and this is all footage given to us by Foxnet and Scopely. So the first thing here is the Mutant Geneticist ability for Mr. Sinister. With this at level 5, he gets a little, they've kind of reworked it. They're also adding in the Emma Frost synergies here. On spawn, generate 3 ability for this character if non-cloned. On turn, heal 15% of max health, plus 5% per Marauder or Emma Frost ally. Apply regeneration to the 2 most injured mutant allies. If Strife is an ally, apply regeneration to him as well. Lots of healing going out here. And then on Emma Frost or Marauder's allies turn, if this character's health is greater than 50%, redistribute 10% health from this character to that ally. 50% bonus focus. Marauder allies gain plus 50% bonus focus as well. 20% bonus max health to him. And then Emma Frost and all Marauder allies also gain 20% bonus max health. So there's quite a bit there going on, but also it looks like all of this does not rely on being on ward defense until you get to the very bottom, where on ward defense, Emma Frost and Marauder allies gain an additional 30% bonus max health. So it looks like the Marauders are going to get some bonuses here outside of ward defense as well, which is great news for them. And then moving on from Mr. Sinister, I believe next up we have Sabretooth. I believe, Strife. Strife's actually got a big buff as well. We already saw with Mr. Sinister, apply regeneration to him. We have the defense up with Emma Frost, all looking pretty good. And you're going to love what you see here with Grandeur. On spawn, fill speed bar by 10% plus 10% per mutant villain ally. We already have that. On turn, if taunting, gain plus 1 deflect, up to a maximum of 3, and gain barrier for 20% of this character's max health. And when a mutant villain ally drops below 50% health, gain plus 1 taunt, up to a max of 3, and gain barrier for 20% of this character's max health. On regeneration, gain barrier for 10% of this character's max health. So Mr. Sinister's moving quite often. He's storing that regeneration on to Strife. That's bonus barrier on him. And then on ward defense, him, mutant allies all gain 50% bonus resistance. And then all villain allies along with him gain 50% bonus focus. So Emma Frost is going to get some bonus focus for herself as well. That's going to help with dispelling positive effects from the enemy team, applying that blind. All looks pretty good. Strife is definitely getting an upgrade here. We'll talk about what this means for Marauders overall. But these upgrades to Strife look very, very good. And then finally, we have Sabretooth. A little bit of a change to him as well with Pharaoh healing. Now it's going to read that he gains 5% bonus damage per Brotherhood or mutant ally. If Mr. Sinister is an ally, gain 20% bonus crit chance. On turn, heal for 15% of the character's max health. When this character drops below 50%, gain death proof just like before. 25% chance to assist on non-attack abilities and gains plus 25% per Marauder ally. So 3 of the Marauder allies, that's 75%. All this is big for Marauders. This means that now Marauders look like they have a chance at being a very strong defensive team. One of the big problems with Marauders on war defense has been that it really relies on how well geared your Mr. Sinister is and who he clones on the enemy team. If he clones a great character on the enemy team and you have a well geared up Mr. Sinister, you're probably going to do a good job. But again, it all relies on Mr. Sinister, and Emma Frost and these changes to Marauders are looking to change this. Now it doesn't just rely on Mr. Sinister. Now the whole team is getting a buff. And Strife also before was a very squishy tank, would die pretty easily. Now this regeneration, the bonus barrier, the defense up, he is going to be a much more durable tank now. Overall, Marauders look like they're going to be a much stronger defensive team. Looks great. Cannot wait to see them in action. So with that being said, let's move over to Beast and the X-Men and talk about the changes coming along with him and some very nice buffs coming to, especially Storm with Mr. Beast, or with the Beast coming into play with your X-Men characters. Now with Beast, one of the things that I absolutely love with him is his animation for his character screen. Look at that. He's hanging upside down. I mean, how awesome is that? I love that. I just love that they're using that as animation. You know, sitting there reading a book. I mean, it's perfect. It's great. So we got a little glimpse of his stats here as well at 4-7, 127k health, some decent damage, armor, focus, about 2800 armor, 2400 focus and resistance. And I believe his speed is about 116. Yeah. So overall, we'll have to see how he is in practice, but I can't get over that animation of just how good that looks. Now, with his kit, we've already seen this before. We get a little bit of idea of what's going on here with his attack or with his abilities. The basic attack does not look like a worthwhile T4. We've already seen this kit overall, so I'm not going to go into detail here on it, but we can see what T4s he has here now. And I think we can get an idea of what ones will be worthwhile. The basic one just doesn't really look that good. It's just kind of bonus damage on the attacks. The volatile experiment one here looks like it cleanses, it guarantees 2 negative effects cleansed from himself, plus 50% damage to all enemies. Could possibly be a worthwhile one. Not sure it's a big one that you really want to go for. And then you have his ultimate ability, Mutant Enhancement. And this one, I think, is where things are going to get a little interesting. Right now, your X-Men don't really have a lot of healing abilities right now. Beast is going to change this. You have regeneration healing with Phoenix, but that kind of has to sacrifice herself. It's not a great idea. Now with Beast in here, you have more healing available for your X-Men characters. Makes them a little bit more sustainable, and I think this is gonna be a good healer support character for them. We already know that his passive is gonna allow you to 3-star campaigns if Phoenix dies. So the healing ability here with this T4 possibly looks like a good one. It looks like it could very well work. Not sure if it's one you have to have, but we'll figure out in time. And then you have his passive ability. This is just plus 10% bonus resistance to him and X-Men allies. Overall, does not look like a worthwhile T4 again, but you know, if you want to really max out your X-Men, looks like it's a good one to have. But yeah, with Beast coming in here, your X-Men are going to be much more durable, a lot more healing going on with them, which is something that X-Men haven't really had already outside of using Phoenix to sacrifice herself. We'll have to see how this all goes, but I mean, let's take a look at the changes to your other X-Men. Now this one's gonna be this one's very nice. It's gonna give quite a few buffs to your X-Men overall. With Phoenix, the only change for her is that if Beast is an ally, she gains taunt for 2 turns instead, so you don't have to worry about Colossus taunting and then losing that taunt. So it looks like Phoenix is gonna be focused down a lot easier with Beast and Colossus on the field. So that's a nice little change there. No real change to the bonus damage and max health with Phoenix. We've already seen Beast before. Storm is getting some very nice buffs with Beast on the field. If Beast is an ally, she gains plus 2 charge instead of plus 1 charge. So she's gonna stack up the charge buff much more effectively. And also additionally, her Ice Storm ability now with this, if Beast is an ally, when she uses Ice Storm, she has a 50% chance to keep charge. You do not need the T4 for this. At least it does not look like you need the T4 in order to get this 50% chance to keep charge. So that is very nice to see. This now allows her to use Ice Storm without losing the charge stacks, and then use her Storm of the Century ability, which is just gonna shred. Between Ice Storm and Storm of the Century, you've got a lot of damage potential there with her. With Cyclops Optic Blast, it is now always applying defense down if there's 1 or more X-Men allies on the field with him. So that's nice to see. And then Wolverine is also getting some buffs here with his Slice and Dice ability. He is now able to chain to 4 targets for 120% piercing, apply bleed on crit. If Phoenix is an ally, the primary target takes 350% piercing instead. And if this character has 1 or more X-Men allies, all secondary attacks have 100% bonus chance to crit. So your X-Men are getting some very solid buffs here with this. And then if this character has 1 or more X-Men allies, this attack cannot be countered. Wolverine also getting quite a bit better. Your X-Men, only one who didn't really seem to get a buff was Psylocke and Colossus. Both those characters already seem pretty good, so I'm fine with them not getting buffs. But yeah, I mean, Wolverine getting a buff is definitely a much desired thing. A lot of people weren't really a fan of Wolverine already, so to see him get a little bit more of an impact is always great. And Storm getting that synergy with the ability to keep her charged with using the Ice Storm, gain more charge with Beast on the field. I think that's really going to help boost Storm up a little bit, make her quite a bit better, especially if you have Beast on the field. So I'm a fan to see how this stuff is going with X-Men. Overall, looks like they're going to be quite a bit more durable with the healing with Beast. A lot more damage and defects now going, or debuffs going on with them, with Beast and the buffs here. So overall, X-Men look like they're now going to be a much more powerful squad. Not really sure they need to be because they're already a premier offense team for Alliance War, but hey, you got what you got, and honestly, it looks like they are going to be great. Now with that, let's cover Squirrel Girl and Young Avengers real quick, and we'll wrap up this video. All right, so we've already seen the kit for Squirrel Girl. We can just go over her stats real quick. We've seen all this before. We'll also bring up one of the other Young Avengers. There was a question about the kit for America Chavez and one of her specials, if it also counted Young Avenger and Hero Brawler allies. We'll talk about that, but you can see she's quite a bit tanky here. 167k health at 4.7 like the other characters. Not a lot of armor, only 1600. So she's got a high health pool, but not a lot of armor. Decent focus and resistance, and 120 speed, so she seems moderately fast. And you know, block chance, no, you don't have to worry about that. 25% block amount, 100% accuracy, you know, normal stats for most characters. So we've already seen all this stuff with her. We can go over her kit here a little bit on top of the T4s. This T4 on her basic always applies offense down to the enemy with the highest speed bar. Looks like it could be a worthwhile T4. Offense down is always definitely a much desired T4 for characters. Then you have her special ability, Eat Nuts. This is definitely a T4 you want on Squirrel Girl. Clears all negative effects from all allies, just like we mentioned with Emma Frost, clearing all the negative effects from all allies. Team-wide cleanse that doesn't rely on factions. Big deal. So once again, another T4 that's definitely worthwhile sinking into. Team-wide cleanses are always ones you really want to buy, because those are just fantastic T4s to invest in. You're gonna get a lot of return on them no matter where you plug them in. Also gives them some great plug and play effect with other teams as well. And then you have her ultimate ability, Squirrel Armor, only plus 50% damage to all enemies with this T4, so not really one you really have to get. But if you want to work on Squirrel Girl and fill her out, by all means, go for it, but not one I would recommend. And then finally, you have her ultimate ability, or her passive ability, Unbeatable, sorry. With this, you know, when someone drops below 50% health, a Young Avenger ally, apply defense up to that ally, fill his character speed bar by 30%. The T4 on this gives 20% of that speed bar bonus. So probably one you're definitely going to want to get if you're using her with a Young Avenger team. Otherwise, not one you really want to go for. And then 10% drain for herself and Young Avenger allies on this as T4 as well. This one's totally dependent on if you are going to be plugging her in with the Young Avenger squad. If you don't have a Young Avenger squad, you can go ahead and skip this one. But if you are using her with Young Avengers, definitely looks like a T4 that you're going to want to invest in, because, you know, that speed bar bonus, the bonus drain, definitely going to help make that Young Avenger squad better. One I would definitely recommend in getting if you are looking for that Young Avenger squad to really get better. So one other thing we got to talk about real quick, America Chavez. There was something we had a question on with her and whether or not it worked. And we can go ahead and say that it is working as we were hoping. Shooting Star, it was never clarified if this was going to include Young Avenger allies in it as well. With this, she gains 75% bonus damage per Hero Brawler originally, but they never added in whether Young Avengers were also going to give this bonus. So overall, Young Avengers, we have Squirrel Girl's campaign coming out here soon. We'll have to see how it looks. I think that Young Avengers could be a very solid, possibly a good raid team, but also very good in Blitz. That drain is very important, but Squirrel Girl looks like she's going to be a fantastic plug-and-play character, especially a lot of people talking about using her with symbiotes. We'll have to try that out, see how the symbiotes do, but yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to with Squirrel Girl and Young Avengers as well. So that is going to wrap up this video, guys. There is quite a bit to talk about today. Buffs for everyone, X-Men, your Marauders, I believe Toad's also getting a buff. Your Young Avengers, you know, they're getting better. Squirrel Girl's coming in here. Beast is making the X-Men better. A lot to break down. Coming here very soon. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about all these changes coming here very soon? Are you guys excited? But as always, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.